Hey YouTube, Harleys and Guns here, coming at you with another quick video review of the most iconic snub-nose revolver of all time. Today we're going to talk about the Colt Detective Special. So let's get right into it. First thing we want to do is have a safety check so the mad moms don't get mad at us on our channel. Clear cylinder, clear barrel, we're safe and good to go. Now the Colt Detective Special came out in 1927. This is a D-frame Colt based on the 1905 Colt Police Positive Special in the D-frame. That particular firearm was a 4-inch, I believe a 4-inch barrel. That was a service revolver of many of the beat cops back in the early part of the 20th century. So apparently in the mid-1920s, Colt decided they needed to come out with a snub-nosed version of that gun in the powerful .38 special cartridge that could be used by detectives, undercover cops, or off-duty cops as their off-duty carry gun. So in 1927, they introduced the Colt Detective Special in .38 special. Now you have to remember, 80, 90 years ago, .38 special was a brand new or somewhat brand new powerful cartridge versus the .38 standard or the .32 caliber round that many of the cops carried in the day. So as a consequence of the power of the gun, the small barrel, and the concealability, this was dubbed the belly gun by the gangsters of the late 20s and early 30s during the bootlegger days during Prohibition. So the most famous gangster that probably carried this gun was Bonnie Parker of the Bonnie and Clyde fame. As a matter of fact, I believe when the Texas Rangers caught up with them, she was killed carrying this gun. If you ever get a chance to go to the Mob Museum in Las Vegas, Nevada, probably the most famous gun in the case, the display case there, is the .45 caliber Tommy gun used by Al Capone and company in the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Right below it is a .38 special Colt Detective. So very famous gun. It's been in a million movies, a million cop shows over the last 80 or 90 years. A couple of them you might have heard of: The Godfather, Taxi Driver, All the President's Men. A couple of TV shows they've been in: Magnum PI, Charlie's Angels, The X-Files. Maybe the most famous one was Steve McGarrett in Hawaii Five-0 of the Bookham Dano fame. This is what he carried, a Colt Detective Special. Now this is normally considered the version 3, and I'm going to post a link to a great website that goes through the historical differences in all of the versions of the Colt Detective Special. Unlike Smith & Wesson, who, when they changed something, they put a dash on the end of the gun, Colt never did that. So there was just versions that something changed over what period, so they called it a version. Or they didn't call it a version, someone else called it a version. So depending on which website you look at, there are either 4 or 5 versions of this gun, but none of them are going to be denoted in the serial number with a dash or anything like that. So the common versions are normally 1927 to 1946 was version 1, 1947 to 1972 version 2, 1973 to 1986 version 3. Then the gun was discontinued after 1986, and then in 1993, when Colt came out of bankruptcy, they started making this gun again until 1995. And that would be considered version 4. So a couple of differences in the gun. This is considered a version 3. The main differences with version 3 was they came out with the completely shrouded underlug for the ejector cover. In the first 2 versions, the ejector rod would have sat right underneath the barrel. Could have got caught up on something, clothing, whatever, gotten bent. The first version had a short ejector rod. The second version came out to the full-length ejector rod. This version came out with the completely shrouded barrel, and the other thing it came out with was the heavier barrel. So this was the first Colt Detective Special that came out that was available to shoot plus P ammunition in. So the first two versions were not rated to shoot plus P. And the Colt book tells you that this version and the fourth version you can shoot plus P in, and after 3,000 rounds you're supposed to send the firearm back to the factory for them to inspect the integrity of the barrel. I'm not going to shoot 3,000 rounds of plus P through this gun, so I'm not too worried about it. So again, this is a beautiful gun. It was available in the blued finish, also available in the nickel finish. Variations of the gun with the 2-inch barrel, 3-inch barrel, a couple of different things, bobbed hammer. There was a commando gun when the paint line, there was a strike on the paint line in the Colt factory in the mid-80s. They couldn't polish the guns, so it came out in the matte finish, so they just stamped it as a Colt Commando. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, and I got a great website I'm going to post that link to, so you can look that up. But these are just beautiful guns. This particular model also was the version 3. The difference between the technically version 3 and version 4 is really only the grip. The version 3 after 1966 would have come out with the combat walnut grip, which was the original grip on this particular firearm. So that was different than the two thin grips that would have just covered both sides of your grip and left all of the straps open. So in 1966 they changed the grip to be the same as the Colt Agent for production reasons, and that was a gun that had the completely covered back strap and bottom strap and just left the front strap open. Then when they came out with the version 4 in the early 90s, it was the Packmer grip, completely covered all of the straps, and then put the Colt medallion on it. So it's really a cool gun, iconic, it's easy to shoot, it has great sights. You see the ramp sight in the back, full blade sight in the front. From 30 feet you're going to hit the bullseye all day long. Start getting out past that, it starts spreading out a little, which is expected of a 2-inch barreled gun, but it's very accurate at 30 feet. So again, this is the Colt Detective Special, most iconic snub-nosed revolver of all time. So if you have any questions on it, shoot me an email, harleysandguns@gmail.com, post something on my channel, and we'll see if we can get back to you. Okay? Until then, stay armed, be careful, and ride safe.